Okay, so I'm reviewing different artists, and the artist review for today is Radiohead. This video is going to have two sections. First, we're going to have an overview section where I'm just going to talk about like the history behind the band and different facts about the band. And then like different things about like their songs and music and people in the band and all that. And then the second section is going to be my rankings, where I'm going to have my top 5 songs, my top 5 albums, and why I like different songs I like and different albums I like and all that stuff. And throughout the video, I'm going to have little forms set up so it's easier to follow along. And first, we're going to go into the overview. Okay, so the band I'm covering today is called Radiohead, and they're considered alternative. They're considered like a lot of different genres, but alternative is just what they are in like Apple Music, so that's just what I have them as. People consider them like indie rock and stuff too, so that's another thing they can be categorized as. And then for some interesting facts about them, one thing I found out when I was looking into them, so they're a band of 5 members, but throughout like the whole time they've been around, which is like, from like the 80s to now, they've always had the same members. So the members of the band have never changed, which is kind of rare for how long they've been together, because a lot of the time different members switch out and stuff. So I just thought that'd be interesting to bring up. And another thing about them, kind of obvious, but they're a European band. They're English, so yeah, that's something else I don't really know. And then lastly, they've been active for over 30 years because they formed in 1985. Technically, like, the band as a whole formed in 1985. But like Radiohead started 1993. That's a different thing. I'm gonna get into that. And then, yeah, so they've been active since 1985, like when the members first formed. And 2018 was like the last time they were active as Radiohead, because they had a tour for the Moon-Shaped Pool album that dropped in 2016. So they made music 2016, they had a tour 2018. And then in 2021, some of the members of Radiohead started a band called The Smile, if you want to like count that as them being active. And then I've heard there's like rumors about a 2025 tour, but I have no clue if that's legit or not, so I'm not counting it as them still being active 2025 because I'm not too sure about that. Like I said, Radiohead formed 1993 when they dropped their first album, which was Pablo Honey. And I said they technically started in 1985 because the band first formed at that time, 1985, but they weren't under the name Radiohead. They were originally under the name On a Friday. Something about Friday being like the only day that worked for rehearsing or like performing or something. I don't really remember, but it's like in university they can only do something on a Friday, so it was called On a Friday. Then it got changed to Radiohead in 1993 because that's when they dropped like the first album under that name. And since I mentioned The Smile, I'm gonna do like a few snippets of some of their songs in case you guys want to check that out. So they have these songs right here. Then I'm just gonna stay quiet for a bit so I can do like a little playthrough of each of them. And then a lot of people know Radiohead for the song Creep. And Creep was in like, and Creep has appeared in a lot of movies and trends and shows, and it's just a song that you'll just hear people play because it's popular. So that is like, if you're not into Radiohead or the genre or that type of music or anything, it's really likely you know Radiohead for the song Creep. And then when I was looking into them, I found out that this song called Exim Music is really popular within like the fan base, unless I got into like a very niche side of the fan base. But like, that's a song a lot of people like, so if you want to check Exim Music out, it's like a really good song, and a lot of people agree with that fact, like I just said. And then Radiohead's still popular, like really popular even right now, because On TikTok, there's a song called Let Down by Radiohead that's trending. It's really popular, so that's also a song that you've likely heard from Radiohead if you're like active on social media, you're on like a certain side of TikTok or whatever. But yeah, that song's getting popular, so that's another thing that can introduce you to Radiohead if you want to get into them. Let Down is the song. This is the part that's like trending right now. Okay, so some things about Radiohead that a lot of people like. So obviously if you like slower, alternative, like, it's not called the blues because that's like its own genre, but like sad music, I guess. I don't know what the word for it is, but it's like sadder songs and it's alternative music and it's like a slower, catchy pace. And a lot of people resonate with that just for that reason alone. But something about Radiohead that I personally like is that they have a variety of different songs and music and lyrics that they like to mess with, if that makes sense. They have a lot of unique background sounds throughout like their songs that you would never hear in like any other song or from any other artist. And they also mess with a lot of synthesizers. So there's like a lot of interesting sound effects always in the background of songs. And Radiohead also has a lot of songs with different energy. So like I said, majority are like at a constant pace and slower. But they do have songs that are more rock, like when most people consider rock. For example, songs such as these ones are more like quicker paced and more like stereotypical like rock type of music. But they also have majority of songs which are their usual type of music. And they still do a good job of separating those songs from each other because, like I said, all the effects and sounds in each song is different, can separate them. And their first album was in 1993, and it was the Pablo Honey album. Their second album was in 1995, and it was called The Bends. And then after that, they had an album in 1997 called OK Computers. And then they also have a second version of that album, which is like the deluxe, so it has disc 1 and disc 2. They have other songs from the second one that aren't in the first version of OK Computers. And then the fifth album is called Kid A and it's from 2000. After that, there's the Amnesiac album from 2001, which leads to the 2003 Hell to the Thief album. And in 2007, they had In Rainbows, which is another album that has two versions. It's actually just disc 1 and disc 2, so they're both like completely different. It's not the same album with more songs added to it. It's not like a deluxe edition. There's In Rainbows, the first one, the original. Then there's In Rainbows disc 2, which just has extra songs. And in 2000, they had The King of Limbs. And after that, in 2016, they had A Moon-Shaped Pool. And those are all the albums that they have released currently. And there's probably some stuff I forgot to mention in the overview. And I'm going to have a bonus section at the end for if I missed anything. But for now, I think that's all, so I'm going to move on to the rankings. Okay, so now I'm going to start my rankings. I'm going to have my top 5 favorite songs, my top 5 favorite albums, my favorite song from each of my top 5 albums. And then I'm going to rank all the other albums I didn't include. And to start off, my favorite song is A Wolf at the Door. And I listened to Radiohead for like way longer than I should have to do this video. So like I need like 10 songs from them and I was like, I need to know more than just those songs in order to make this video. So I listened to them for a while, and A Wolf at the Door, they don't have like a single song that sounds similar to that one. And so it like stood out to me the most after listening to them for a while. And because how much it stood out, it's the reason I like it a lot, and it's my number 1. So I'm gonna have like a little snippet of it playing in the background so you guys can hear it and get a vibe for it. And then the singer, his voice sounds different in this song. And the rhythm, no, not the rhythm. And the pace of the song, like how the song flows, is also different from like their other songs. And I can't really talk about the background, like the instrumental and the background noises and all that being different, because I personally feel like every single song from Radiohead kind of has a different thing going on, music, background-wise. So I'm gonna move on to my second favorite song, which is Paranoid Android. And this song is one of their more popular songs. Like, it's one of the songs I knew about before I deep dove into them. But it's at my number 2, not for that reason. It's one of the songs that has a tone shift in it, and I like songs that have tone shifts in them because it always just makes the song more interesting for me. Radiohead has 2 types of music. They have the majority of their songs are like the slower, melody like, I think melodic, I don't know. There's a word for it, but I'm just gonna say melody like. Yeah, so melody like and slower and more like emotional, alternative, slower type of music. And then they have songs that are more like rock, generic rock type of music. And Paranoid Android is one of those songs that has 2 parts of the song, one where it's slower, which I'll have it playing in the background, or I'll just stop for a few seconds and let it play. So there's like slower parts of the song, and then there's a part in the song where like the pace picks up and there's instrumental change and the whole vibe switches for like just a little bit. And I like how it's done very intentionally because the song is a jewelry line. That's all their songs. All their songs are very lyrical. They have the type of music where you listen to the lyrics more than just listening to it overall, because the lyrics are like the most important part of Radiohead songs. At least that's the impression I get from it. But yeah, this song, like all their other songs, has like a little storyline going for it. And the changes in tone for like the song matches up with like the tone or energy in the story, and I like that aspect a lot. And then my third favorite song would be Anyone Could Play Guitar. Kind of the same exact reason as the Paranoid Android, except the changes is it's more like it's slow, and then it has a chorus which picks up the pace, then it goes slow again, and then chorus that picks up the pace. And any song that does that type of thing, I love it like instantly. So Anyone Could Play, did I say the title already? Anyone Could Play Guitar, it's the song I'm talking about, would be in my third. And I'm putting it up there because I think it is the Radiohead song I've listened to the most. Like, I didn't know about it until I did my little deep dive into Radiohead. But Anyone Could Play Guitar, I think that's like the most listened to Radiohead song I have. And I like it because it's in the kind of niche for song formatting that I like, where like slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast. Like the chorus stands out like extremely compared to the rest of the song. I like that kind of music. For fourth, I would pick How Do You, and I'm gonna be honest, it is probably considered like sounding basic, and low-key that's the reason I like it kind of, because it reminds me of like a lot of different artists. The song How Do You, it doesn't sound like Radiohead at all, and it reminds me of a lot of different artists, and I like a lot of the different artists that it reminds me of. So it just in my top 5 purely for that reason. And then my 5th place would be Bangers plus Mash. I don't really, Bangers and Mash. I don't really know how to say the title, but same thing as the song in the first place. It sounds really different from all the other Radiohead songs, so like when I listen to it, that song is one of the songs that just like stuck with me. Like I remember that one vividly because it stood out from a lot of the other songs. But I haven't listened to it as much as I've listened to the other ones in my top 5, so it's not as high up on the top 5, and that's the only reason it isn't. So I'm gonna move on to my top 5 albums, and the album I'm putting in first place is OK Computers, specifically the one that has disc 1 and disc 2, because why not have the one that has both of them instead of the one that just has one of them. My favorite song from OK Computers is Paranoid Android, because it's in my top 5, it's my second place one. And then for disc 2, my favorite song from OK Computers would be Man of War, because I like the lyrics to the song and the idea of the song. So Man of War is one of the songs I listened to the lyrics and I was like, oh, I really like this one for that reason. So that's my favorite one from the disc 2. My second favorite album is In Rainbows. My favorite song from that one would be 15 Steps. This one I just have the original version because In Rainbows disc 2 is different from the OK Computers one. It's not like the other one is like a deluxe that has all of them. It's like the other one for In Rainbows only has the other songs. So it's like a completely different selection of songs. So for second place, I just have the original In Rainbows. And then my third place is Hail to the Thief. And for Hail to the Thief, A Wolf at the Door is my favorite song for me because it's my number one song. Sorry, I'm really bad at my reasoning for things. But after Hail to the Thief, I have Pablo Honey. So there's 2 songs from my top 5 in that one, so it has to kind of be in my top 5 albums. But it's not that high up because the songs that I don't really like in that album, I really don't like in that album, so it's 4th place. And then for 5th place, I would have The Bends. I thought of moving it higher up, but I didn't know what I would replace it with. So it's in 5th place. And my favorite song from The Bends is Black Star. Okay, so the albums I didn't mention are Kid A, Amnesiac, In Rainbows Disc 2, King of Limbs, and A Moonshaped Pool. So out of those ones, I'm gonna make another little ranking chart for the ones that didn't make it to the top 5. Out of the ones who didn't make it to the top 5, first place, technically 6th place, would be In Rainbows Disc 2. And then for the second place, which is technically 7th, I would have Amnesiac. Then 3rd place is The King of Limbs. And 4th place is A Moonshaped Pool. And then 5th place, technically 10th place, is Kid A. And now my favorite songs for each one. My favorite song from In Rainbows Disc 2 is Bangers and Mash, plus Mash, whatever. And that one's in my top 5, so it's my number 1 for that album. And then my favorite song from Amnesiac is the Pyramid song, which is very basic and generic because I feel like that is one of their most popular songs. But popular for a reason. Like the lyrics, or not the lyrics, the story to the lyrics, good. And the rhythm, flow, the pace of the song is good too. And my favorite song from The King of Limbs would be Lotus Flower. So I checked that song out first because the title, and I don't know if I just built a bias to it or I picked a really good first song to check out for that album. But I listened to that one like the most out of all the other songs in that album. So Lotus Flower, that's my favorite from the King of the Limbs album. And then for A Moonshaped Pool, I really liked Present Tense. I don't really know what stood out about it specifically, but it's one of the songs that stood out to me, like A Wolf at the Door and like Bangers and Mash. It's one of those songs that just, I remembered it compared to all the other Radiohead songs. So that's the reason it's my number 1 for A Moonshaped Pool. Then after that one, in the last place, I have Kid A. I couldn't really get into any song in that album, but my favorite one from it is How to Disappear Completely. And yeah, Kid A, my favorite song is How to Disappear Completely. Those are all my favorite albums and my favorite songs and all the rankings for them. So I'm pretty sure that's everything, but like I said, I'm going to have a bonus section for anything that I left out or didn't include. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Okay, so I don't think I have anything to add, but for my outro, I'm just gonna say you guys can recommend me any artist to do, and I'll make a video about them. And I hope you enjoyed the video.